I'm Ellis Martin. Join me now for a conversation with Gerald Penneton, the Executive Chairman of TerraX Minerals, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol TXR and in the U.S. as TRXXF. TerraX owns a 100% interest in the Yellowknife City Gold Project, encompassing 783 square kilometers of contiguous land within 12 kilometers of the city of Yellowknife. The project is located in the prolific Yellowknife Greenstone Belt, covering 70 kilometers of strike length along the main mineralized break-in proximity to the former high-grade Con and Giant gold mines, which have produced over 14 million ounces of gold. The Yellowknife City Gold Project is close to vital infrastructure, including all-season roads, air transportation, service providers, hydroelectric power, and skilled tradespeople. Mr. Penneton was the founder of Detour Gold, which was recently acquired by Kirkland Lake for $4.9 billion Canadian. And we will begin the conversation discussing this amazing acquisition. Gerald, welcome to the program. It's great to have you on the air with us today.
Thank you so much, Ellis.
Now, we've had some outstanding news. I heard about it when I was in London at Mines and Money last week. Of course, I'm talking about the acquisition of Detour Gold by Kirkland Lake. You founded Detour Gold, and if you don't mind, I'd like you to review the timeline from beginning to end.
I think it's appropriate, as I was the founder of Detour in 2006. There's actually a quick parallel we can go back to. I found that the new company, TerraX, is a very similar story as purchasing the Detour Lake asset from Pelangio Mine back in 2006. We did an IPO. One of the most important things I was very able to is put the asset into a new structure, a new share structure, which was basically just 40 million share, $35 million in the bank, and 100% of the Detour Lake story. And of course, we started drilling in January 07 immediately. And of course, the resource, which was about just over 1 million ounces back in 2007, grew over the years until approximately more than 20 million ounces, which became about 16 million ounces in reserve. Now the mine has been in production for almost 6 years. I left at the end of 2013. As you remember, gold dropped from $1,700 to $1,100. The Detour story is an achievement of raising $2.6 billion, drilling from January 07 to 2011, produce a feasibility study in 2010, and start building the project sometime in 2011. The mine costs about $1.5 billion, produced today 600,000 ounces a year for the next 20 to 25 years. I left the company sometime at the end of 2013 when gold price went from $1,700 in 2013 down to approximately $1,100. And of course, our stock price went down from $20 to $5. So it was a bit of a sad 2013, but I think I was not the only one. A lot of gold companies suffered during that year and in 2014 thereafter. What I'm really proud of is creating the value from $100 million market cap in 2007, a purchase price of $75 million. Last week, it got sold to Kirkland Lake for $4.9 billion Canadian. So in my mind, this is what it is, creating value with the drill bit, put it in production if need to be, unless you get purchased by another company because they like your asset so much. In the case of Detour, we were approached once in 2011 to be purchased by another big company, but it fell through. Nothing to say that I'm happy for Detour because we still have 600-700 people working at the mine for many, many years to come.
Now, do you think there's any more opportunities in that area? Because part of the talk, part of the chatter at the Mines and Money Conference in London was that opens up opportunity for many of the juniors in the area, well, some of them anyway, with potential high-grade deposits. But do they exist, or are we done for a while? And what other opportunities are there in the world? And then we can focus on the Yellowknife area and your project.
I, as a geologist who has worked for 12 years at Barrick in corporate development, exploration, development. I also built 2 mines in Tanzania. And when you look at the Canadian picture for exploration and development of project, I would say that at the most, maybe there's 5 to 10 very good projects in Canada that warrant a follow-up. Like Bob Smith used to say at Barrick, it's easier to find gold where there has been gold found than trying to find it in the boonies. And that's exactly what happened at Detour. And I think with sustained exploration, I'm sure there's a chance for discovering more deposit. For example, the lower Detour at the Detour Lake asset was one of those new discoveries that we made in recent years. Now, when you look at the Canadian pictures of gold mining camp, whatever you talk about Detour or others, some of them are very quite mature. I would say Timmins, Red Lake, I'm not saying you're not going to find anything in those camps, but the chances, what are the chances to find 5 million ounces in a camp in Canada with infrastructures?
So do you think the Yellowknife area is basically immature and it can be developed, and you with TerraX will lead that development?
That's exactly right. I think from my assessment of Canadian stories and Canadian mining camp, there are some other stories. I'm not saying we're the only one, but we're the only one that has an airport, a town with 30,000 people, hydropower, power line, driving to the project itself, less than half an hour to the middle of the town, with the potential of getting from 5 or maybe even more ounces in this camp. Two mines have produced about 14 million ounces in Yellowknife, and both were closed in 2003 and 04. The potential to find more deposit, which is exactly where we're working on with Samoto and Crestaurum deposit, is tremendous. These are only two examples of what we can lead in the future to find more deposit in the belt. But our first two targets could easily be advanced in 2020, 2021 and reach more than 2 million or 3 million ounces within the next couple of years. And that's where the Yellowknife camp is tremendous. It does has the footprint of a gold camp, which is still immature.
And this is what brought you into the company. Tell us about how you wound up with TerraX.
I've been asked to look at TerraX for a number of years. For those who remember, some very important people have actually invested in TerraX over the years. André Gaumont of Virginia Mine, which was purchased then by Osisko, was one of those earlier believers in the story. So is the founders of TerraX. Good geologists, been involved in the gold exploration business. What I think TerraX new CEO, David Suda, realized a year ago was that he was looking for more experience in terms of advancing a project of that stature. He was kind of like, yes, we have a great property, 800 square kilometers almost. However, maybe not enough strategy, maybe not enough vision into bringing this project forward and focusing in what's the best so far. And I think the resource that we put out on November 4th, which will come out in a 43101 this week, is definitely one of those projects, one of those two zones that can help develop the project into 2, 3, 4 million ounces, maybe more. There's no question that the gold endowment of Yellowknife will prove to be true with sustained exploration and sustained drilling. But let's start with the easiest one that have been already found. And that's why I believe that once I did my due diligence in May 2019, there was no hesitation for me to join the company and also the founder of the company, Joe Campbell, to pursue their goal of developing this into a new gold camp in Canada.
So essentially, we can hopefully, as investors or potential investors, and this is speculation on my part, not yours, potentially we can see a district-size project with TerraX on the other side of Canada. We can get some new excitement in a part of the world that is known for the Aurora Borealis.
Quebec, Ontario is the Abitibi Belt. It's a great, amazing environment for gold deposits. The parallel you can draw from the Abitibi Belt, which has yielded almost 200 million ounces over the last 100 years, is that the Great Flare Belt of Northwest Territory has somewhat the same potential. Same age, 2.6 to 2.7 billion years. I know it sounds technical, but you're looking at a very similar situation. An important belt, 14 million ounces produced, and there's nothing that tells you that it stops there, because the potential has always barely just scratched the surface. So in my mind, this Yellowknife camp and others surrounding Yellowknife is a tremendous opportunity for a junior like TerraX to create value and generate more ounces. But what's very important is that Yellowknife is well set with all the infrastructure necessary to develop a mine, with the mining philosophy and the mining structure that you have usually in Northern Canada.
What can we see going forward for 2020, Gerald?
2020 is a year where we'd like to advance our two main projects, which are Crestaurum and Samoto, by drilling. We're planning to do 20,000 meters of drilling, a winter program on Samoto, and a summer program on Crestaurum. With this, we will be updating our current resource of 735,000 ounces and hopefully get over 2 million ounces by the end of 2020.
Now, adding you to the board, actually, was a great move by Dave Suda, but we also have members of the management team that have been added that are worth discussing.
It's a very good point to bring up because with the team I built Detour in 2006 and early 2007, I brought with me my colleague that I've been working more than 26 years, is Mr. Louis Dion. Louis was a senior VP at operation at Barrick for many, many years. He was my first director at Detour in 2006. When we went through the project in May, he accepted, hands up, to say that let's go. This is another Detour again. We got a great opportunity to create value. Thing happened with bringing Laurie Gabory as a director. Laurie was my investor relation in the early days of Detour in 2006. She actually just left Detour last summer. So she spent close to 13 years at Detour. And she's one of those top investment relations with all the contacts. A story can be told, but you need to be able to tell it properly and very simply. Not everybody is technical. You need to have some financial background. You need to be able to present in a very simple way the value that you can create in the future on a project like Yellowknife, like we did at Detour Lake. So we're just bringing more depth, more experience to support over the next couple of years the development of the Yellowknife project.
Gerald, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. I look forward to more conversations in the future. Thanks so much for joining me today on the program.
Thank you, Ellis. My pleasure, and I look forward to the next time.
I've been speaking with Gerald Penneton, the executive chairman of TerraX Minerals, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol TXR, and in the U.S. as TRXXF. For TerraX Minerals and the Ellis Martin Report, I'm Ellis Martin. TerraX is a paid sponsor of the Ellis Martin Report.